They both said this was a basketball play. Now, Greeny, let's be honest. If this was the other way around, oh, Lord, you can only imagine how the conversation would have gone.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And when you think about this circumstance in this day and age that we're in, a lot of people project their own subjective feelings on these ladies as, you know, people that have gotten to know them. They just want to...
If this was the other way around, oh, Lord, you could have only imagined how the conversation would have... Well, you know what, Monica? That's a good point. That's a good point. Every now and then, well, you know what they say, a dead clock is right twice a day.
Breaking news. While Angel Reese was out on the court channeling a WWE main event, ESPN's own narrative architect, Monica McNutt, took a sharp detour from logic to throw shade at Caitlin Clark. Where was all this righteous outrage when Clark was being tossed around like she owed someone money in a back alley brawl? Silence. But now, suddenly, the script flips, and Angel is cast as the misunderstood heroine, and we're expected to ignore the glaring double standard. It's so blatant. LeBron might fake a knee injury just to get a front row seat. If you're with Caitlin, drop a comment below, and let's keep it moving.
This video that is ESPN Monica McNutt going on a little rant about double standard with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese over this flagrant foul in the WNBA.
Yes, Monica McNutt, our reigning high priestess of performative outrage, has returned. Every morning, she brews a fresh pot of hypocrisy and takes her place at the altar of selective criticism, depending entirely on who is involved. When Caitlin Clark gets knocked around like she's auditioning for an NFL blitz package, the ESPN hallways are silent, save for Stephen A. Smith's usual theatrics. But the moment Angel Reese flicks a wrist or throws a glare, Monica launches into a full-on keynote about emotional intelligence and sportsmanship, as if she's campaigning for public office.
Oh!
And they will go to the monitor.
Wait a second.
To review this one. Yeah, that's right.
Boom! Cold clock in her head. Oh, so this was the other way around. Oh, okay. The only difference is one was a hard foul that got called a flagrant, and one was a blatant non-play on the basketball. Let me just whack Caitlin Clark across the head. And as you can see, she was fairly far from the basketball.
Fast forward to one shove from Reese, and suddenly it's treated like a national emergency. Monica McNutt hits the airwaves like she's delivering a TED Talk on chaos theory, all while Angel gets physical again on the court. At this point, Monica transforms into a full-blown Marvel origin story, part Captain America, part Gloria Steinem, part Oprah, framing the moment like it's a pivotal chapter in a cinematic saga of justice and empowerment.
This was a clean, oh, now's my chance to get a swipe in. Let me take it and get a swipe in because I hate that girl that wears 22 over there in Iowa. And then look at our soft-ass teammates. Look at the sack of potatoes doing absolutely nothing while Caitlin Clark sits on the floor. No, nobody stands up for Nalissa. Have fun in Dallas, honey. See, you wouldn't want to be you. We had to bring in some real teammates. But what did Caitlin Clark do? What did Caitlin Clark do in this situation?
Accountability. Oh, that only seems to apply if your jersey says Clark on the back. If you're Caitlin Clark, you'd better not even raise your voice on the court without someone accusing you of cultural insensitivity. Let's be honest, Caitlin could get hammered mid-drive and practically have her arm torn off, and Monica McNutt would still show up on ESPN spinning it as a character-building experience, while preaching the importance of supporting women in sports. Apparently, there's a fine print disclaimer. Support for women not valid if your name is Caitlin Clark, because the second Clark enters the conversation, Monica's passion for uplifting female athletes fades faster than a Snapchat story.
Wow. One game into the WNBA season, guys. One game in. And we have mythical racism out there. Yeah, no proof, no evidence whatsoever, but the WNBA is investigating, and ESPN just says, we must believe the WNBA, man. Racist comments. You heard that, what she said, right? Where was the comments? Where were the comments at? I don't even believe that Angel Reese even mentioned anything about racist comments. I must have missed that. And that sound definitely was not a monkey sound. It just wasn't. Boy, what a pathetic network ESPN is, guys.
Remember when Monica was MIA as Caitlin Clark got shoved to the floor like she'd skipped out on rent? The ESPN studio was quieter than a church basement, and you could almost hear the producers Googling, "Do we care about consistency?" before shrugging and moving on. But the moment Angel throws a little attitude after a bucket, boom, out come the graphics, sirens, and camera-ready lectures. Yes, Monica, this is bigger than basketball, just not in the way you think.
I think it's time to take away the microphone from Monica McNutt. I'm sick of her, bro. I'm really sick of her. This is the biggest goalpost mover in the media when it comes to Caitlin Clark.
At this point, it's not even about basketball. It's about Monica McNutt's full-time job of crafting narratives. One moment she's championing physical play in the women's game, and the next she's up in arms because Caitlin Clark dared to play through contact. This isn't some isolated reaction. It's the McNutt rulebook in action. If Clark shows toughness, it's arrogance. If someone roughs her up, it's suddenly rebranded as empowerment. That's not reporting. It's spin.
What do we have right here? Because Caitlin Clark did take quite the beating last year. Was it just Angel Reese, or did other players decide to take some cheap shots at Caitlin? Oh, it was other players. That's interesting. Chicago Sky. We're gonna... Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa! Did you see what Caitlin Clark did? What did she do after a hard foul? She got up and walked away because she's not a classless piece of trash. Oops, did I say that out loud? My bad.
There's no balance left in the SPNN matrix, where Monica McNutt plays both preacher and eulogist at the funeral of objectivity. Instead of fair analysis, we get a non-stop loop of game highlights repackaged like scenes from a social justice documentary. Every play framed as part of some grand narrative rather than just basketball.
Kennedy Carter. Kennedy. Dejanay Carrington. Tierra McCowan. Oh, look at Izzy Magnabor going straight for the head. Oh, there's Angel Reese again. There's Angel Reese again. There's Dana Evans. And guess what we did last season? We did nothing but play ball.
Remember how ESPN turned Caitlin Clark hitting the floor in back-to-back games into an uplifting montage about grit and determination? They branded it as hustle, while Clark was probably just checking to make sure her limbs still worked. Meanwhile, Monica's likely drafting a tweet about how it builds mental toughness, while completely ignoring the real shift happening here. Caitlin Clark's transformation from generational talent to convenient scapegoat. This is the player who dragged an entire sport into the mainstream, shattered scoring records, and turned casual fans into diehards. Yet she's being framed as the problem simply for refusing to be anything less than elite. Translation: she's not following Monica's ever-changing playbook of what's acceptable.
You know, I love how Americans, like a certain group of Americans, that tell you like, oh, there is no racial problem in America. We have passed racial relations being an issue. I don't see color and all these things. And all it takes is like one basketball game between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark for it to turn into a goddamn race war, right?
Monica McNutt says she wants to celebrate women's sports, but only if it happens under her creative direction. It's fine to be competitive, as long as you respond to getting knocked around with a polite smile and a quiet, "Thanks for the lesson." ESPN, meanwhile, turns every tough moment into a morality play about humility, specifically white humility. In Monica's version of equality, Caitlin Clark becomes the league's emotional punching bag. Honestly, you could write a book on it, 101 Ways to Rebrand Rough Play, featuring Monica McNutt on every chapter. Just make sure it's never about her favorite players.
Angel Reese. Is that better? If I breathe like that, is that better? Showing that I'm all discombobulated and I can't think straight? Caitlin Clark knew it was a flagrant foul. And she got up and she hit her free throws. She didn't turn it into a whole song and dance. She didn't turn it into a theatric play. She didn't turn it into a whole performance. She didn't do anything like that. Angel Reese, on the other hand, she walks back and forth and chases Caitlin Clark down, doing that clout chasing thing that Angel Reese does, reliving the glory days. She sits on the check-in table, hears absolutely no racial slurs, hears absolutely no mean sounds, hears absolutely nothing but boos being rained down from Gainbridge Fieldhouse. And of course, the WNBA released a statement. Monica McNutt, you do realize that those things never happened, right?